Okay, so what happened? Right? So welcome team. So to the OIC training, which is nothing but like Oracle Integration Cloud. So first of all, right, like today we'll just see that introduction and we'll try to see that okay, what OIC is, what are the capabilities, and why we need OIC, right? So we'll just see that introduction kind of a thing today. So I hope you guys have a little bit idea about that OIC. If not, so no need to worry. We are going to start from very basics that okay, what OIC, where it will be used. And then in the training, right, we will be covering the complete hands-on training. So it's going to be like we are going to create different scenarios, different integrations, which we will be getting in the real world when we go and start working on the real project. So that is what we are trying to cover in the whole training. So the complete training is going to be hands-on. So first of all, right, what OIC is, right? So before we go into that one, right, I will introduce myself, and if anyone has any specific question, maybe we can cover during the last hour or in between also, right? Maybe I will give you the 10-15 minutes in between, and then towards the end also, right, we'll take questions. So that okay, if anyone has any questions, we'll cover those. So myself, Prashant, I have like 10 plus years of experience into this IT industry, which comprises of Oracle Cloud Technologies. And in the whole duration, I was working on different Oracle SaaS and PaaS technologies. So from the past, it is like Oracle OIC, VBCS, PCS, then Oracle Apex. And from the SaaS side, it is like Fusion Technical. So all those things, right, I will be covering. I have that experience, and like I have delivered various end-to-end implementation projects. So the whole training I have designed in such a way that okay, whatever the scenarios I used to get into the projects, right? So we'll be covering those here so that okay, after the completion of the training, right, you can go and start working on the projects directly. So first of all, right, this is today's agenda. We'll see what OIC is, then why we need OIC and how OIC can help us, right? And we'll see the different use cases of the OIC. Then we'll go and see that okay, when it comes about the development, right? What are the things are there into that OIC? So we'll be covering those things. So what is Oracle Integration Cloud, right? So the full form of the OIC, right, is like Oracle Integration Cloud. Initially, it was ICS also. So if you go and work with some old developers, right? So if they will go and refer ICS, right? No need to worry. That ICS is only that OIC. So earlier it was like Integration Cloud Service, that ICS. Now it is Oracle Integration Cloud, right? So what it is, right? Oracle Integration Cloud Service is a complete, secure, but lightweight integration solution that enables you to connect your application in the cloud, right? It simplifies connectivity between your applications and connect both your applications that live in the cloud and your applications that still on the on-premise. So this is that official definition what we have from the Oracle. But what actually it is, right? So first I will try to give you one scenario example, and from that one, right, we'll go and try to understand. So what will happen, right? Nowadays, right, we know that, okay, the data will be communicating between multiple systems. So if you take that example of the basic example, which is a salary, right? So for example, I am working for Learnomed, right? So what happened? Learnomed will go and credit the salary in my account, right? So like Learnomed, right, will be paying me the salary. But is the salary credited by Learnomed? No, right? So the bank will go and credit the salary into my account, correct? So what about it? In this one, if you see, right, there is a Learnomed organization, then we have the bank, right? And the bank is crediting the account salary into my account, right? So what happened, right? So Learnomed, right, will go and share that information with the bank. Then bank will go and process that salary, and it will come into my account, right? Then once that salary is credited into my account, right? What happened? Learnomed will go and send that notification that okay, we have credited the salary for this person. Then the payslip will be generated into the system. So what happens if you said in this simple system also, right? Two systems are communicating with each other. So that is the real scenario in today's world that okay, not a single system, right, can go and achieve everything, right? We have to go and interact with multiple systems at some point of time. So when we go and interact with multiple systems, right, how we can go and do, right? So their OIC comes as a in between as a middleware, because when the data will be traveling from point A to point B, right? How it will travel, right? So what happened earlier, we used to write some programming. So with the help of Java, Python and all, right, we used to write those web services and all, and then that we can go and do. But in that case, what will happen, right? You should be the expert, right? You will be writing the hard, like the programming code from the scratch. If you are not an expert, right, what happens? You will not able to achieve that one. But in the help of OIC, right? Oh, so OIC is a low code framework. What it means? It means you will not be writing the code from the scratch. The components are there. We just drag and drop those components and we build the solution, right? So it means if suppose you are a non-technical person, right? Or if you don't the expert, right? So still you can go and build the solution because OIC is a low code framework, right? It means components are there. We can just drag and drop the components. Behind the scene, the code will be generated and we are just focusing on the business logic. So as a OIC developer, right, we just have to focus on the business logic or the requirement. We don't have to spend the time on writing the code and all. So why we should not write the code, right? One is like, if suppose you are not an expert, right, you will not able to write the better system, correct? Another is like, for example, when we talk about the data, right, it comes as a security, right? Because if my data is traveling from point A to point B, right? So my first question is, should be my data should be secure. Whether that is working or not working, that is always my second priority. First priority is like my data should be secure. So how that security will come, right? So we need to go and write some security code and all, then only we can make that communication secure, right? But in OIC, that security will come as an inbuilt only. So for example, if you would have written the code right from the scratch, what happened? I am the person who is having 10 years of experience, right? So I will write the security based on my years of experience or my learning. If suppose somebody who is just starting their career, right? If they will write the security right code, so what happened? Their system may be not that secure what my system, right? And for example, somebody who is like 20 years or 25 years of experience, right? They will be writing the better security code compared to me, right? So what happened? The security is in the developer's hand. So Oracle don't want to do that one, that okay, the security will be with the developers, right? Because it is like dependency on the developer's capabilities. So what Oracle told, right? That okay, we are giving the framework OIC. In that one, right? We can just focus on the business logic. All the same things right behind the scene will be coming as an inbuilt only. Right? So what security Oracle is using for its product, right? Same level of security will be coming. So whether I am writing a simple hello world program or whether I am building that complex, this salary kind of example, right? So it will have the same level of security and it is not in the developer's hand. So by default, right, the security will be coming. We just have to focus on the logic part. Now it is not like one to one, right? For example, Learnomate will pay the salary, right? That okay, like 10,000 is the salary. Now from that one, right, 10% should be deducted as a tax, right? Then 10% should go to the insurance department. 10% should go to the PF department, right? So that calculation part also, right, we need to do, right? So what happened, right? The information will come as a 10,000 from the Learnomate system. Then we will go and write that logic orchestrate, right? So we'll make the data modification or transformation. Then we can go and send that information to the multiple systems. So it's not that, okay, one-to-one communication, right? It is like multiple systems also we can go and make communicate. So OIC, right? Now, for example, so this is the one example. Another example is like, for example, we are doing this class, right? So what happened, right? I am delivering the lecture, right? And you guys are attending. So how you are guys are attending with me, right? So with the help of Zoom, right? So Zoom is kind of a middleware between us, right? So we can consider that, okay, Zoom is a middleware, right? So I am delivering something, it will come to you, right? So I am the one source, you guys are the multiple targets, right? So what happened? I am sending that information and all you guys are receiving, right? So multiple systems are there with the help of Zoom, right? So Zoom is kind of a middleware. Same way, OIC is kind of a middleware, right? Where the data can be taken from one system and it can go and transform, right? Or it can be shared with the multiple systems, right? So that is what OIC will be doing. So if you see it, OIC is a complete, secure, but lightweight integration solution. It means we can go and build any logic. It is up to us like what logic we are building. Then secure, right? As I told, right, security will be coming as an inbuilt, right? We don't have to write any security code. So it will come as a secure. Now, lightweight integration solution. Now we say that, okay, if we are writing this kind of a code, right, we need to download some softwares, right? We need to download some libraries. Then I will be writing the code in my local, right? Then I will go and deploy that code to the server, correct? So that is how the process it will be. But no, in OIC, right, OIC is a cloud solution. It means we don't have to download any software. It is a browser-based development. So we just need that internet, we need the browser and the Oracle Cloud instance. After that one, right, we can go and start developing. So from the day one, right, your code will be on the server. Earlier, what happened, right? We used to do the local development, then we used to deploy, and then it will be live. But now, from the day one, right, whatever the code you are writing, right, that is on the server. So for example, right, if you earlier, right, for example, some requirement came, right, and it needs 10 days. So we can say 7 days will be requiring in the development and 3 days, right, will be in the deployment, correct? So what happened, right? Now those 3 days, right, is saved automatically because there is no deployment process. So those 10 days become to 7 days. Now In those 7 days earlier, we used to write the code from the scratch. We used to set up the system, right? But here, as I told, right, no need to download any software, no setup, right? And we are not writing the code from the scratch. The components are there, right? So we just drag and drop those components and build the solution. So what happened? Those 7 days again can be reduced to 2 to 3 days, right? So we can go with the upper number, right? 3 days. So what happened? The development time from 10 days, right, will be reduced to 3 days. So earlier the solution which we are able to deliver in 10 days, right? Now the same solution we can go and deliver to the customer in 3 to 4 days, right? So that is what OIC capabilities, right? It means the development process become faster. Now, due to this development become fast, right? Companies are going with the OIC. So whatever the solutions company has, right? So earlier those development used to happen through like Java, Python, .NET, right? Other programming language. All those things are happening with the help of OIC. Why? Because in today's time, right, companies need the solution faster. Because if the time will be reduced, right, the costing will automatically will be reduced, right? Because earlier, right, we will be paying resources for the 10 days. Now we just have to pay for 3 to 4 days. So the development time is reduced. So time also saved, cost also saved. So due to that reason, OIC is great in demand at this point of time. Why? Because we are into the time, right, where systems are communicating with multiple systems. So they have to interact with any multiple systems. So when they interact, right, they need some solution, right? They need some middleware, or either they will go and write the code from the scratch. So for that one, right, OIC is replacing that traditional coding which we used to write, right? So that is what like we can go and achieve with the help of OIC. Now, another is like the connectivity, right? So for example, my system is on premise. So if you remember, right, initially, right, earlier we used to see that big machines on the company's infra, like on premise locations. So for example, if still some company, right, is using those big machines on their own premises, right, and some system is on the cloud. So will that will work? Yes. So we can go and connect. The communication can happen between cloud, cloud to non-cloud, right? So it means there is no restriction that okay, with which system we can go and connect. So OIC is giving us all the capabilities that okay, with which all we can go and communicate. So in simple words, right, if you want to understand what OIC, so OIC is kind of a middleware. With the help of that one, multiple systems can go and communicate with each other. Like how I'm connecting with you guys, right? So what happened? We are able to communicate with the help of Zoom, and the language is like English, right? Because I am able to speak English, you will able to understand English. But when it comes about the system, right, they will not learn English. They don't have that learn, right? They will have their own machine language and all. So what happened? The OIC comes as a middleware so that okay, multiple systems can go and communicate with each other, right? So OIC is a middleware for the data communication between multiple systems. Now, another is like we are not writing the code from the scratch. It is a low code platform, right? So that is what the OIC definition is. So I hope you are able to get initial idea or like basic understanding that okay, what OIC is for. So if anyone has any question into this one, right, definition or understanding, or if you see the diagram, right? So for example, if you see, right, we have the Oracle Cloud, right? So in the Oracle Cloud, right, you are able to see the Oracle systems. Then we are able to see the third-party systems also, right? And then on-premise. So OIC will give us that capability that okay, we can go and connect with any systems between multiple systems. So if anyone has any questions, let me know. Okay. So the next is like, so this is the same thing, right? Introduction, right? So as a complete solution, we can go and connect with multiple systems. So the data movement, right, can happen between cloud to cloud, non-cloud, on-premise systems. The platform supports integration, so we can go and integrate with any system. Now again, one more, right? So suppose the data communication, one is like OIC in the so in OIC, right, there are three types of patterns: app-driven, scheduled, and the event-based. So what it means, right? It means one is like ad hoc, right? I will go and start that process. One is like, another is like the process which will go and start automatically. So for example, if we see that example of the salary, right? So we know that every month we have to go and process the salary, right? So when we need to go and process the salary every month, right? We don't want that, okay, somebody will go and run that process. So earlier, how that process used to happen, right? So somebody from our organization, they will go and prepare some file. That file they will go and share with the bank. Then bank will go and process that one. Then they will share something. Then will go, that person, same person, right, will go and update in the system. So that is a manual process. Now that whole manual process, right, got automated with the help of OIC. So now we don't need any human. OIC will automatically we will read the data from the system it will transform the data into the format which bank understands. Then it will go and process that one. And once that is completed, right, what happen? It will go and receive the notification, and again it will go and update the system, right? So what happens, that human dependency, right, is removed from the system. Now we know that, okay, this process we have to go and run every month, right? So we don't want that, okay, somebody will go and initiate that process. We can say that, okay, this process needs to be run every month on last working day, or like on 30th of every day. Or like, for example, we can say that, okay, it will take 5 days, right? So we can schedule this whole process that, okay, on 25th of each month, right, the process should start automatically. So so that is the schedule integration. It means some solution we can go and build and we can go and schedule. So that, okay, it will be happening automatically, no human dependency. Another is like, for example, if my company, right, is operating in multiple countries. So we know that, okay, right, when I'm operating in multiple countries, right, so the currency exchange rate, right, will be changed. For example, India to US, right, the rupees to dollar, right, today is 80 rupees, tomorrow it is 82 rupees, day after tomorrow it will be 85 rupees, right? Yesterday it was 75 rupees. So every day, right, that exchange rate will be changing. So we need to go and update in our system, right? So that, okay, whatever the operation, right, or transactions happen on that particular day, right, it will be using that particular day's exchange rate. So it means we have to go and load the exchange rate daily. So what will happen, right? As of now, somebody will go and download the data from the bank or some trusted source. We will prepare that file, we'll load into the system. But with the help of OIC, right, we can automate that, okay? Like our operations will start 8 a.m. in the morning, correct? So what happened, right? We can say that, okay, at bank will go and say that, okay, they will be releasing the that exchange rate at 3 a.m. in the morning. So we can schedule our process for 4 a.m. It will read the data from the bank, transform the file, load the data into the system, and once that is completed, it will go and send email to the operation manager or to the finance team that, okay, today's daily exchange rate got loaded, please initiate your operations, right? So what happened? Again, we have automated. So those kind of scenarios, right, we can go and achieve with the help of OIC without human dependency. Another is, for example, right, my manager, I'm a manager, right, and there are 5 team members, right, who reports to me. So every Monday morning, right, I need one report so that, okay, in that one, right, I can see that, okay, what my resources charged last week, right, what time entry, right, they have put. So what happened? This report I need every Monday morning. So what happened? With the help of OIC, we can go and schedule. We can write that OIC logic in that one, right? It will run that report. The file will be generated. We download, OIC will download that file. That file will be attached over email, and that email I will be receiving every Monday, every week, right? So it means like that process, right, will be executing once in a week. So that is what we can go and define. So all those scenarios, right, can be achieved with the help of OIC. So it empowers organizations to build connected digital ecosystems, right? So now today's time, right, everything or all the systems, right, are going to the digitalization, right? There's no manual thing, right? So when everything is going to the digital, right? So OIC plays as a key role when they will go and interact with multiple systems designed to bring agility, accuracy, and speed, right? So for example, if the same process, right, for example, I will take that salary or the other example of that exchange rate, right? If suppose some human is doing it, there's a possibility that, okay, some error can happen, right? When I will manually be converting the data, right? So there's a possibility that I did something wrong and the whole logic, right, can be corrupted. But with the help of OIC, right, it is automated solution. The system will not make that mistake what human can go and do. So all those kind of issues, right, will be reduced with the help of OIC. Now, why we need OIC, right? So again, that manual intervention which we earlier used to do, that is removed, and the whole solutions, right, can be automated with the help of OIC. Then data inconsistent, whatever the data issues which can go and occur, right, while doing those transformations and all, now those will not come because that will be happening at the runtime within the system. And scaling, right? So system will able to process one record, 100 record, or 10,000 record. If person will be doing that, right? So for example, if you will receive the data, right, for 100 records, right? Maybe when human will be doing it, they will go and process that thing in 30 minutes. But at the same time, right, if 10,000 records will come, right, the process, right, or the human can take, right, like 2 hours or 3 hours. But system will not do that one. System will be taking drastically reduced time. So earlier, if for 100 records, if system is taking 2 minutes, right, for 10,000 records, it will take 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But still, the scaling rate is way more faster based on the human. And troubleshooting and maintenance rate is faster because OIC gives us two things. One is the designer portal where we can go and build our solution, and it will give us the monitoring console also. So through that one, right, we can go and monitor. So suppose my integration got failed, right? So I can go and check that, okay, why it got failed, what is the issue it is coming. So the monitoring or the logging system, right, is inbuilt only. So we can go and track our solutions that, okay, what is happening. So that is what like OIC will give us. Again, how OIC, right? So automation, right? Data transfer can be happen faster and with high accuracy. Business can focus more on the strategy and operational maintenance. So they don't have to focus on that operation that, okay, how much, right? They can focus on the business oriented. We can go and automate. So once we automate, right, the chances of the error and data duplication, right, will be reduced. And as I told, right, the development will be faster, right? Earlier, the solution which used to take 10 days, right, that can come to 3 to 4 days. So use cases, right? So financial system, right? So for example, we need to go and share some financial reporting system, right? And all between multiple system, right? So OIC can go and do that job easily. We can go and connect, right, multiple systems, right? Sales department, marketing. We can streamline the order management and inventory, right? So that, okay, all the things, right, are in sync at real time, right? We can go and integrate the HR system, right, for faster onboarding and all. So these are some of the use cases where OIC can be used. But again, there is no limitation. OIC can be used for any solutions. So this is what the development, right? When we go and implement, right? So that is what. So as I told, right, we can consider that, okay, this is the one system we can consider, right? So this, right, is one system we can go and consider this. So for example, right, I can take that salary example only, right? So this is the company, right? Then this we can go and consider as a bank, and this we can go and consider as the insurance department. So what happened from here, right? The salary will come as a 10K, correct? So for what happened, right? Here the information can come that, okay, 10K is the salary, right? 10,000. Now OIC will come in the picture. The all the calculations will happen, and here, right, the information will come as 9K, right? And 1%, right, or 10%, right, will be go and go to the income tax department. So it will go, right? So what happened? The data transformation, right, can happen like this one. Now this information, right, will be read by the OIC with the help of connection. That connection, right, will be using internally adapter. Then the calculations will be happening into the integration, and the target system, right, will be using the connection and adapter. So what this connection, right? So this connection is nothing but like, for example, right, one system is there, right? So if one, for example, we can say this is on the database. So when I want to connect with the database, right, we'll be using the database adapter, and we'll go and define the connection. Because if I want to interact with system, right, I need to have the credentials, right? For example, you guys have joined this meeting, right? So you are having that URL, right? So then you are able to join. It's not that, okay, like anyone can go and join, right? Whoever has having this URL and passcode, right, they can only join, right? Same way when I want to, like, our OIC wants to interact with this system, right? So they need that connectivity details, and connectivity detail internally will be using the adapter. So that, okay, we don't have to write the code to connect with that system, right? We will just giving the credentials, and all the things that are already coded into the adapter. So we will go and create one connection with the help of this one, another connection for this system, another connection, right? So whatever the different number of connection systems we are at, we'll go and create one connection for each. Once the connection is created, right, then we'll go and write our integration. In that integration, we'll go and write the logic orchestration, that, right, that, okay, what the calculation should happen. For example, right, from first system, another, right, for example, we can say that in the source system, right, the employee name, right, is storing as first name, middle name, and last name. But in the target, right, it will be like first name and last name only. So customer will say that, okay, right, middle name and last name, right, should be combined. So we will go and write that logic in the OIC, in the data mapping, that, okay, the middle name and last name, right, should be combined, and in the target system, right, that should go into the last name field. So whatever the data enrichment, right, data modification or data cleaning we have to do, right, we can go and do in that OIC layer. So that logic, right, will go and write, right, in the integration, right, there we can go and do. Then if you see right here, so this is the development what will happen. If you see below, right, we will be having two things, right? Designer portal and monitor console. So with the help of designer portal, right, we'll be taking drag and drop those components, and we can build our solution. Then once our solution is built, right, through the monitor console, right, we can go and see the monitoring, that, okay, how our flow is going on. What are the things, right, happening? If suppose our flow is error out, right, we can see that, okay, why it is erroring out. So all those things, right, we can go and see into that OIC. So the development life cycle of that OIC, right, will be like this one. First of all, we have to go and create the connection. Then we have to go and create the integration. Then we have to go and create the mapping, that logic part. Once it is done, right, we have to go and publish our integration, right? So we'll go and activate. Once it is activated, we can go and run and we can monitor that, okay, if any error is coming, if all the things are going smooth, right? If everything is going smooth, we are okay. For example, if something goes wrong, right? Our integration is going into error, right? We can go and debug those errors. We can deactivate, we can modify our logic, then we can reactivate and we can go and release that solution, right? So that is what. So if you see it in this diagram also, right? So if I want to connect these three systems, right? Connection will be requiring. So that is the step one that, okay, we have to go and create the connection. Once the connection is created, right? We have the integration, right? So in the integration, right, we'll be writing the logic. So we'll go and create the integration, right? Inside the integration, we'll go and write the logic and then we can go and activate. And then we can come, right? So from here to here, right, it will come like this one, right? Then here, suppose if some error out to happen, right, we can go and deactivate our integration. It will come back to here. Let me just plug in now. Right? So whatever, it will go and error out, right? So when it will error out, what we'll do, right? We can go and debug our system. We can go and fix those issues and then we can go and reactivate. So once we do that reactivation, right, whatever, again we can come to this stage, right? So this process which we are able to see, right, this thing, right, up to here, right, we can go and work in the loop, right? So the flow will come like this one from top to bottom, and then once it is published here, right, it means our project, right, is live. After live, right, if it is any error out happening, right, any issues is coming, right, we can debug those issues and we can deactivate our integration, right? So from this step, right, we can go back and then we can fix, again we can activate, again we can go and monitor. If the flow is working fine, we are good. If still we are getting any error, right, again we can go and deactivate. So that is how the recursive cycle it will be. So we'll be seeing all those things hands-on when we go and do the right. So in each class, right, we'll be taking unique scenarios, different scenarios, and we'll be implementing the logic. But that is how the OIC or integration development lifecycle it will be. Now, as I told, right, that okay, in the integration, right, what happened, right, we will be in the generation 3. So as I told it, we will be having 3 patterns. Earlier, we used to have the 6 patterns. So earlier we are into the generation 2. So from 1.5 year back, right, 1 year or 1.5 year back, right, it was a generation 2. So that time, right, we used to have the 6 patterns: app driven, schedule, file transfer, basic routing, publish to OIC, and subscribe to OIC. Correct? So these are the things which were. But what happened when Oracle upgraded their system to generation 3, right, they have noticed that, okay, some of the integration patterns, right, are not used by any customers. So whichever are not used, right, what Oracle did, right, Oracle has deprecated that options. So in generation 3, right, it become 3 patterns. So app driven, right, is there as it is only. Whatever it was there, right? So this is there available as it is. Right? So this is the first pattern in the generation 3. Schedule integration is also there as it is only. Right? Then this option, right? So this got deprecated in the generation 3. Then basic routing, right, is also deprecated. And these two things, right, got combined into the generation 3 as event. Right? So these both, right, become our third pattern. So it means there's no change, there's nothing new. Whatever it was there into the generation 2, right? Same it is there. But what happened? It got rechanged. So file transfer and basic routing, right? So file transfer, what used to do, right? It used to take the file from one point and it used to drop to the another. So that is very basic requirement, right? Same basic requirement, right? We can go and achieve with the help of app driven and schedule with writing additional logic. So due to that reason, right? No customer was using file transfer. Same way basic routing, right? It is just route your path that okay, from this point to this point it should go. So that also, right, we can go and do in that app driven and schedule integration with more advanced logic. So due to that reason, right, file transfer and basic routing, right, got deprecated into the generation 3. Right? So only 3 patterns. So first pattern is there as it is, app driven. Second pattern, schedule integration, that is also there as it is. Third pattern, right, which is there into the generation 3 as event, right? In generation 2, it was like publish to OIC and subscribe to OIC. So what Oracle has done, right? Oracle combined both and rebranded as event. But behind the scene, if you see, right, that is the same publisher and subscriber integration only. Right? So we saw that, okay, what is the difference between generation 2 and generation 3? There are more changes. So that we'll go and see that once we go and start, right? So we'll see that, okay, what are the other differences? Now we saw that, okay, right, we have 3 patterns. But what these 3 patterns are, right? So first is like application driven. It means suppose I will go and initiate some process. right? So it means like human or somebody will go and start that process. So that is a application driven. Second is a schedule, right? So it means no human dependency, nothing. We can just define our frequency. We can just define that our time. So that weekly report, right? We can define that, okay, every Monday morning. Then the salary rate every 25th of the month, correct? Then, for example, company needs some financial reports, right? The quarterly reports. So we can define that every 3 months it should run. Some annual reports, right? So those needs to run once in a year, right? So we can define once in a year. So that kind of a thing, right? Integration, right? Which automatically it should work, right? So that we comes into the schedule integration. The third is like event-based integration. It means some event will happen, right? Then our integration will go and create. So in this one, right, two integrations will be there. One is a publisher integration, one is a subscriber integration. So publisher integration will publish that event. Once that event is published, right, the subscriber integrations will go and start. So this one, right, you can consider as a YouTube as the example, right? So in the YouTube, right, what happened, right? You will have two types of community. One is the content creator, one is the content consumer. For example, I have the channel as OIC training. So what happened? I will go and upload this video. So if you guys have subscribed to my channel, right, what happened? You will receive some notification, right? So that kind of a solution, right, we can go and build. So as a trainer, right, what happened? Right? I will go and create that. I will initiate that publisher integration. I will upload the video and I will say that, okay, the video upload event is published. Now, whichever subscriber integrations are there, right, they will go and start. So, for example, in some country, right, email is working. In some countries, right, for example, we have to go and send that notification through mobile. In some countries, right, we need to go and send through WhatsApp, right? So there may be different systems, right, based on the country. So all those subscriber integrations, right, should start working. So that is what, right? So as a content creator, right, I will go and create my publish that integration, right? Publisher one. Then whichever the subscriber integration, right, those will go and start working automatically based on this event publishing. So that is how it will be happening. So these are the three patterns. First is like ad hoc. We will go and run, right? Whenever requirement come, right? For example, I created some UI, right? From that UI, I want to initiate, or I will go and start some process. So it means like it will be that dependent upon the human, right? Or based on some activity. Another is which will go and start automatically. Third is like when that event will publish. So these are the three different patterns what we can go and do, right? So that is the three integration patterns what we have. Then this is the use case which we already have seen, right? That okay, how we can go and build that daily exchange rate. So what happened, right? This is the integration which we can go and design. So data source will be there. They will go and place the file over FTP server, right? Then what happened? Our OIC will go and read that file from the FTP server. It will convert the data into the loaded format and it will go and load the data into the ERP systems. Once that is loaded, right? So what happened? It will go and load into the integration. And once that process got completed, you will go and receive some notification. So this whole solution, right? We can go and automate. We can build one time and then every day it will work automatically. There is no human dependency. So before I go next, right, if anyone has any questions, we can go and take those questions now. Okay, I think there will be some questions on chat. Let me check the chat. I don't remember the connection is unstable, everything uploaded. Okay. So anyone, any questions? It's okay, very basic questions, whatever, right? As this is our just introduction session, right? So we try to get that in understanding that, okay, what OIC. And from the job perspective, I feel say, right? At this point of time, OIC developers are great in demand. If you are kind of a fresher, if you are kind of an experienced, right? You can go and get the job easily if you have the hands-on learning of the OIC at this point of time. Why? Because those legacy systems, right, old system, right, are moving to the cloud. Because we are into the generation, we are into the time, right, where all the companies are moving to the cloud. Why? Because those maintenance of the legacy systems and all that is very costly. So nowadays, right, all the companies wants to move to the cloud. So either it can be Oracle Cloud, it can be Amazon, right, AWS, either it can be GCP, right, from Google, or it can be Microsoft Azure Cloud, right? Any cloud, right? But companies are moving to the cloud. So when they are moving to the cloud, right, they want to move their data from legacy system to the cloud. So when they need to move, right, what happens? OIC plays as a key role between that system as a middleware. So due to that reason, OIC is great in demand. Can we take any pluggable database to OCI while leaving all other on the premise? Yes, we can go and connect with the database. So like if suppose your data is sitting in the database, right? Directly we can go and connect with the database. We can extract the data and whichever data like target system we need to load, right? We can load the data into that form, into that target system. Can event driven be like initiated from queue? No, it is not from the queue. It is like when that activity will happen, right? So that time it will go on. So for example, some event happened, right? So we can go and create that one event as like some new record entered or something happened, right? So what happens once then when that activity will happen, right? So other integration right will go and start automatically. Oracle DB. Yes. So Oracle DB, right? So for example, nowadays, right, when you need to move the data from one system to another, right? Or you can consider as from yeah, that same from one system to another system, right? So what happened, right? You will go and extract the data manually. Then you will go and transform the data, right? So that ETL job which you do, right? Extract, transform, and load. So that activity, right, can be automated with the help of OIC. You can write the logic in that one, right? OIC will automatically download the data or extract the data. It will convert the data into the format which we need and it will go and load. And once that whole process can be completed, it will go and give that information. So as a DB, right, you can go and write that PL SQL procedure and all. And then those, right, you can go and call from the OIC. So OIC will go and plug all your pieces and it will do automatically those things. So as a DB, right, you don't have to run those steps one by one. You can just build that solution like your PL SQL packages and all, and then OIC will take care of that one. From OIC, you can go and call, and then it will extract the data, transform, and load in the your target system. So as I told it, your source could be anything, your target could be anything. OIC will not give us anything that okay, your source should be this system only or target. You can go and connect, extract the data from any system, and you can go and load or you whatever you want to do with the data, right? You can do with the target system. We can do migration easily. Yes. So that migration activities, right, can be happened easily with the help of OIC. Integration schedule every 10 minutes, integration taken time of complete more than 10 minutes. How to handle this one? Yeah. So what happened, right? If suppose, so in that case, right, when we do the development, right, so that time we have to see that, okay, how much time, right, it will take. And in this scenario, right, where your integration will take more time, right? So what happened? Database you can go and bring. So what happened? The main bulk logic. Because if your integration will be running for 10 minutes, right? At one step, right, you will get timeout early. Correct? So what happened? We have to design the integration in such a way that, okay, it can be completed faster. If suppose some step is taking more time, right? What happened? We can go and do that in the background. So we can go and use the database concepts there. We can write the background jobs. From OIC, right? We can initiate that one. And then, right, that activity will be happening in the database. Once that activity will be completed, another integration we can go and see which kind of like database pooling, which keeps monitoring that, okay, when the process will complete it, the second integration will go and initiate. So we can go and break the solution into two parts. And as a developer, right, whenever we do that, the process, right, so during the development, right, we do the data load, the volume testing. So we can see that, okay, how much, what is the maximum time, right, it is taking. So whatever the maximum time it is taking, it, we have to define the schedule based on that one. If suppose my process is taking 30 minutes, right, so then I will not, it is not recommended that, okay, we go and define the system less than 10 minutes. Because in that case, right, what happens? It will go into the data duplication or it can keep the data resources, right? It can keep two systems or two flows, right? Can go and refer the same system or same data. So due to that reason, we should avoid that one. Do we need the JSON XSLT SQL knowledge for this one? Again, it is not that, okay, you need in depth. If you have the basics, well and good. If you don't know the basics, right, we'll be covering those things in the session because we just need to understand, right? We should able to read that data. That's all. It's not that, okay, we need that advanced or expert into this one. From the JSON format, right? We just need that, okay, how the JSON payload, right, will be look, how the data will be there, right? It is key value, how that array. Only those two things, if you know, that will be covering. from the database perspective, right, we should know that, okay, how we can go and write the SQL statement, like select query, update query, delete query, right? And how we can go and call the package. And normally, if suppose you're a big player, so DBA will be there, right? So they will be writing the bulk PL SQL code and all. We will, as an OIC developer, right, we'll just calling that process. So that is more than enough. And from the accessibility point of view, right, if you know the basics, right, so the mapper, right, inbuilt mappers are there. So we can just do the drag and drop and we can achieve that mapping. At some point of time, if you have to do the complex mapping, right, then only we need that accessibility logic. Any other questions, anyone? I hope you guys are able to unmute yourself. Any?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sure. Any questions, anyone? Okay, so I will just stop the screen for a second. I will show you that how that OIC instance will look like. So this is what that OIC instance will look like. So as I told, right, we don't need to download any software. What happened, right? All the development, right, we can go and do in the browser page. So what we need, right? We need the internet, we need the browser, and then we need this OIC instance, right? So what happened? It will be there as a one service. So Oracle Cloud will be there. In that Oracle Cloud, right, OIC is one service. So if I will go and so what happened? Oracle Cloud will be there. In that Oracle Cloud, right? So Oracle Cloud, right, you can consider that, okay, from Amazon, right, we have AWS. Then from Google, right, we have GCP. Then from Microsoft, right, it is Azure Cloud. So same thing, right, from the Oracle, it is Oracle Cloud, or you can call OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, right? So that is a complete cloud. In that cloud, OIC is one service. So in this one, right, whatever, there will be n number of services. So OIC, right, is one service for the data communication. Data communication. So like this one, right, in that data, like in Oracle, right, we may have the VBCS. We can have that OP or PCs, right? We can have database as a service. Nowadays, right, we have this machine learning, ML, right? ML and AI models.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. So OIC is a, I mean, platform independent. This can be run in anywhere, AWS, GCP,
No,
OCI, Azure.
no, it will be in the Oracle Cloud only.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
So
because OIC, right, is a PaaS service, platform as a service, right? So it will be available into the Oracle Cloud only.
okay.
Yeah. So like this one, right? In the Oracle Cloud, right, there will be n number of services will be there, security, AI, and all right. So like that one, OIC will be there. So what happened? OIC instance will be created. So this kind of a URL, right, will be given to us. Then username will be given, password. Then we can go and do the login here. So this is the place, right, where we'll go and do all our development. So it comes here. So this is a place, right, where we can go and do the development. So I can go and show some of the integration. So if you see it, these are the integrations what we have here. So this is a place, right, where we can go and build. So let me see if this I can go and do.
If I am not, I mean, if just I'm asking one question,
Yes, yes.
is it similar with the like in AWS CI/CD pipeline? So OIC
No,
is a quite
no.
yeah.
CI/CD pipeline is just a, like suppose you have done the code, right? So
Yeah.
CI/CD is kind of like migration or like what you can consider, right? Just to move the
Continuous code
data on
deployment.
back, right? From
Yeah.
one point to another point. So that
hmm
is a code migration kind of thing. OIC is a development platform, right? Where you can build the solution.
Okay.
So if you see, right, this example, right? So what happens? We need to go and call some, right? Call some VIP report, right? Some report we need to go and call. So see, this is the whole solution which we have. Now this solution, right? If you see, we are not writing the code. We have the actions available here. So we can go and use those actions. Let me see some in the draft status. Yeah. So this we can check. So what happened if you see, right? Here we'll be getting these actions. So what happened? With the help of these actions, right, we can go and build the solution. right? So this is schedule integration, which will start. We can go and get the data. So this is like variable creation. We can create the variable. We can write the log line. Then here I'm calling the database system. So we can go and call the database. In that database, right, we can go and insert, update anything. Then I can go and do the notification, right? I can send email and we can do. So it's kind of like whatever the logical thing, right, you have to do. That we can go and do here without writing the code. So what happened? As I told, right, it is a low code platform. So we can come here, for example, right, I want to write some loop logic, right? So what happened? I can come here and drag and drop that here. So my loop will be created. Now inside this one, right, I can go and build my logic. If suppose we need to write some if else condition, right? So what happened? We can go and get the switch condition. So the switch condition is there, right? So we can go and put the switch condition here. Then we can go and write our if else logic and all. So it means whatever the development, right? Earlier we used to write the code and all from the scratch, right? All those things without writing the code, right? By just using the drag and drop components, we can go and build that solution.
So this can do with multiple databases. Suppose I'm just giving one
Yes,
example. If I
you
want
can.
to, okay, if I want to create like 100 of user in the 100 of databases, so
Right.
that will be applicable over there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so can you little bit just elaborate like how we can do, like if you have some 100 user, they join the organization and they want to create some specific I mean particular databases, so how will
Yeah.
do here?
So the example which you told, right? So normally
Yeah,
what
yeah,
is
yeah.
it? So for example, in today's time, right, as I told, right? For example,
Mm,
we have multiple system. We can consider one
mhm,
is a Salesforce system, right? Another is like
mhm,
Fusion Oracle system. One more
yeah.
system we can consider. So for example,
Mhm,
three different databases are there.
mhm,
So when the onboarding will happen, right? It will happen, for example, into the Salesforce system. Correct?
mhm,
So
yeah.
somebody will go and insert the data into the Salesforce database. So what happened? We can create one OIC which will read the data. So what happened when the new employee will come, right? Maybe the status of that one, right? We can put as a draft or new hire kind of a thing, right? So once that will be happen, right? What happen? Our OIC keeps checking that one. That okay, if any new record will come in the database with that entry, our integration will go and start. It will fetch the information for that particular record. And then, for example, we can go and create one connection, two connections we can create because we need to load the data into two systems. Then same record, right? I can go and insert into my second database. Same record I can go and insert into my third database. So that is what we can go and do. So what
Okay,
happened right
so
here?
here, yeah, here how you can do it like in
Yes.
drag and drop. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So for example, right here, in this one, right, the starting point is a schedule. But in that case, right, the starting point, right, will be the database pooling, which will go and fetch the record. So in that one, right, we'll go and give that information that, okay, based on what status, right, it will fetch. After that one, right, what happened, the data will come here. Then, like, we are calling the database, right, this one. So this one system, we can go insert the data. After that one, right, we can go and create one more database a connection, and we can go and insert in that also. Or if this whole process you need in the parallel, right? So if you say, for example, 10 database are there, right? You want to do in the 10, right? So parallel also we can go and do.
Okay, so do we need to write a code like how to create database, create username, whatever the query? So we need to pass the
So
query.
yeah, so in the database, right, we have the multiple operations. So directly,
Okay.
suppose if you are doing insert, right? So if you see, we have
Mm-hmm.
this one. Perform an operation. If you see, right, here three types are there. We can call some
Okay.
PL SQL procedure, we can write the custom query, or we can do the operation. So operation, right?
Okay.
So we can just select these operations and we just have to tell the system that, okay, in which table the data will go. And then we just
Mm-hmm.
need to do the mapping, column mappings. Then your data will be inserted into that particular database.
Okay.
Any
One,
kind
yeah,
yeah,
I have one doubt here. The option is only for insert, update, and select. But
yeah.
as I'm saying, the operation is create. So we cannot create the new tables or new user because create
No,
option is not coming.
no. So table we cannot create. Table should be there, right? So your database structure should be there. Then,
Okay.
so it is a data
Okay.
communication, right? It is not
So
the structure definition.
okay, so actually my question is that suppose I want to do automate here some if some a new user will be join this organization and automatically I want to do like just put the new user details like whatever the NID or user ID and
Yes.
that will be go on the particular database and create it. So,
Right.
so create option is not coming. That's I'm asking. Is there anything
No, but
like,
that will be the insert, right? Because table will be there, right?
yeah,
You will be
table
inserting
will be there.
data into
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Uh,
But we can,
Sorry to
yeah.
interrupt.
Yeah, please.
Uh,
Yes.
I think so. Basically, whenever we are uh, deploying any application, before to deploy that application, we create a schema and assign some table space and some size of the table space to that schema. And
Right.
because of that only, we are able to select the table name and we can like perform any insert update operation onto that table.
Right.
If please clear me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct only. So like the database
So,
will be there. For example, if you want
right,
to
right,
create table also runtime, right? Then maybe right you can
right.
call the PL SQL procedure. So in that PL
Yes,
SQL procedure, right?
this is only the
you-
process we are following here, na?
Yes. So
Okay,
here,
okay, thanks,
yeah.
thanks.
So here, like again, both the options are there. Normally, database we don't create from or the tables, right? It will be already there, the table schema and everything. We just move the data from point one to point two because it is data migration. But for example, if you want to create some table also, right? Runtime, then whatever you can do the PL SQL process. So in that PL SQL, right, you can go and create the table, load the data, transform, right? And then at the end, right, maybe you can delete the table and all.
So I want to transfer data from ACS, AWS database to,
Your voice is very low, Hari, if you're talking.
yeah, 1 minute. Okay, for example, if I want to transfer data from still slow,
Can you come little closer? We are not able to hear you anything. Or if
okay.
you try to change your mic.
Yeah, are you able to hear me now?
A
Hello.
little bit better. Yeah, just let me know.
Okay. Yeah, if I want to transfer data from AWS database, one
Yes,
table, Google Cloud database, Google
right.
Cloud database. So how to transfer that?
Yeah, so in that one, right, as I told,
Mm.
right, these connections will be there, right? So we need to go and create the connection. So for the connection, right, let me go back to this one. So we have this list of adapters. So these are the systems available from which, right, we can go and get the data. So if your database, right,
Yeah.
SQL. So for example, it is Microsoft SQL Server, right? MySQL, PostgreSQL. Then from the data DB2 also we have, right? From IBM, it is DB2. Then Oracle have its own database. So if you go with the Oracle, so Oracle ADW warehouse, then transaction processing it and Oracle database. So this is a generic Oracle database. So wherever the data will be sitting, right? We need to go and create the connection with that particular adapter.
But they're all in cloud, right? How they will allow that network level? We have to set up anything like
No,
egress.
yeah. So for example, right, when you want to connect with some system, right, you will be
Mm.
having all those detail, right? The connectivity
Yeah.
detail. So all those connectivity detail, right? So with the help of adapter, right, we will go and create the connection. So for example, if I will come to the connection here, and let me take this example, database only. So here in the cloud, right, whatever, we connect through the wallet file. So this wallet file will contain all the connectivity details. But if you use the
Mm.
Oracle Cloud and all, right, so these properties, right, we can go and set here. What is the port, SID, all those informations we can go and set, and then we can go and use that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
For example, if one organization they want to implement OIC, for that, what we need to do? We need to take a Oracle OIC
Yeah.
account. We
So
need to.
yeah, Oracle Cloud account needs to be there. So that is nothing but the OCI. In that
Mhm.
OCI, right, OIC service will be needs to create. Then it can be used.
Okay.
Yeah.
For that, again, any network setup or anything we need to infrastructure level. They have
That
to.
yeah, that comes no. So by default, right? If you suppose without this, you can go and achieve. But sometimes, like
Mm.
some companies will go and use those VPN and firewall and all right. So those things right,
Yeah,
will
yeah.
be configured at the OCI level.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. So OCI is like complete infrastructure, right? So whatever your earlier systems are there, right? All those systems, right? You can go and move to the cloud with the help of OCI. So in the OCI, right? You will have those load balancers, networking, firewall, all those things are there. So there, OIC is one service.
Yeah, actually, we are new to integration, but Okay, I
no
will
issue.
explain my background. I'm working as a Oracle Cloud DBA only, but due to that career transition, I'm trying to learn OIC.
Okay.
So how it will help for me?
Yeah, so that's what I told, right? At this point
Mm,
of time, right? Like as I told, right, all the companies that are using or moving the data from legacy to cloud, right? So you are already a DB, right? So from the
yeah.
data base knowledge you already there, right? So whatever that
Mm,
ETL job we used to, right, extract, transform, and load or
yeah.
automate, right? So with the help of
Mm,
OIC, you can do the easily that job because
okay.
nowadays, right, it is web services and all, right, concept. So what happens? You can go
Mm,
and build those web services with the help of OIC without writing the code from the scratch and all. Companies can go for
okay.
the traditional coding also, right? Java, Python and all. But in that one, right,
Mm,
it is like too much dependency on the developer in that security and all. But in OIC, we don't have to worry about all those things. We just focus on the business. So if you're not like kind of a hardcore developer, right? Or hardcore
mm,
coder, right? Still you can go and
yeah.
build those solutions with the help of OIC by using those drag and drop concepts.
But still, we have like a golden gate kind of softwares are there for some data
Yes.
transfers and all, right? But why we
Yes.
need to use OIC?
So in the golden gate and all, right, it comes that again same thing, right? You have to write your code
Mm,
and all. But OIC is a
okay.
low code framework.
Okay.
Yeah. So it means you can build the solution without writing any code and all. It's not that okay, OIC is only the one player in the market, right? There are a number of things, right? But they are not that capable of what OIC is doing or what OIC is giving you the flexibility.
Thank you.
Yeah. Otherwise in the market, right? Like we have the 𝐷𝐿 and then I think we have some more tools, right? But in those, right, you need to write the code and all at some point of time. And that is like you have to download the local softwares, you need to build the logic. So it comes as the solution becomes more complex, right? It becomes too much dependency. But in the OIC, there's no dependency at all. All the things that will be happening at the cloud level and by using those drag and drop concepts.
Hey, hi.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, is there like a roadmap like that we first complete Oracle database, then RAG, then Golden Gate, and then OIC, or we can directly do
No, you can
OIC?
directly do OIC. So OIC is independent. You don't need to learn anything, right? Because OIC is complete. So it's not that, okay, like you will be using all those things. You will be using OIC as
So,
independent for those data communications.
so I recently completed Oracle 19C, about to complete. So,
What you
so the
completed?
next I will do Oracle 19C.
Okay.
So next I will do RAC or this OIC, which will be benefits for me.
No, so that database, right? That is completely different, right? So you're doing the database thing,
Uh,
right? So
uh,
database is like to store the data and to handle with that
uh,
all. OIC is that
uh,
data communication, multiple. So it's not only data, right? Database.
uh,
It can be any system like
okay.
Salesforce, then Workday,
Mhm.
then old system like PeopleSoft, EBS. So you can connect with any system, bank, right? So
Okay.
for example, your bank, right? In the market, right, there are a number of banks. If you have to connect with some bank, right? So some bank will say that, okay, load the data to our database directly. Someone will say that, okay, we'll expose the REST APIs. You have to go and call the REST API. Someone will say that, okay, we are using the SOAP API, right? You have to go and use the SOAP APIs. So that database, the data connection, communication, right, between systems, right, can be happen with the help of voice.
Okay, okay, got it.
Database is kind of like storage, but how the data will go to that point, right? Or from one storage to another storage, right? If you have to move the data. So there OIC comes as a middleware.
Hi. Hi,
Yeah, please.
Rishabh this side. Actually, I have already worked in 𝐎𝐈𝐂 and ODI,
Okay.
and here I can
Yes.
actually see like it's the adapters and all are very much similar to what I have used here in.
Yes. So if you see already worked on SOA, right? So this OIC is the cloud version of the SOA.
Oh,
Before OIC, right? We used to have the SOA, but SOA now is a legacy solution. You need to download the J developer. You will be writing the Java code, right? And then
yeah.
you will go and build the solution. Same thing is happening with the help of OIC. So all those legacy, right? Even these SOA solutions, whatever is there, right? Maybe you have seen also, right? that okay, all those companies are moving to the OIC. So whatever the
Yeah.
solution is already developed in the SOA, they need to redevelop in the OIC.
Yeah.
So SOA is a legacy solution. OIC is a cloud version of the SOA you can consider, or the SOA's replacement.
So I think the transition is like apt at this moment from SOA to OIC.
Yes. So for you, like if you are already a SOA developer, right? So
Yeah.
OIC is that one for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any? It's okay. Any basic question, advanced, whatever it will be, right? We can cover so that okay. Yeah.
How long this course will take?
So the course will be taking around 30 to 40 sessions, which is like kind of a 2 months kind of a thing we will be taking. So in that one, right? Yeah, it will be around 2 months.
So what is the plan? Like weekend sessions or weekday sessions?
Mostly it will be weekdays only, but it depends upon all of your availability. So if you guys, most of you will be available over weekend, we can maybe plan over weekend, or we can plan. So that will be taking consideration like all your information. So we'll be connecting with you guys, and we'll be checking that okay, what will be the feasible time for you, and then we'll
Any
come with the
specific timings, morning or evening? I mean, weekdays means.
so as of now it will be evening, like 8:30 to 9:30 or 8 to 9. Yeah, mostly it will be 8:30 to 9:30 weekdays. But yes, like once we have the final enrollments and all, then we'll be taking consideration like your suggestions, and then based on that one we'll be planning the batch. Any other questions? And as I told, right, it will be like around 30 to 40, 35 sessions, right? So in that one, initially 4 or 5 session will be the theoretical, rest all 30 plus session, right, will be the practical. So we'll be using database, we'll be seeing FTP, right? How we can go and use the files and all. Because when the data communications will happen, right? It's not that okay, always data will come into the JSON format. It can come into any format, right? It can come as a JSON, it can come as an XML file, it can come into the file, right? Sometimes we need to go and get the data from the database itself, right? So we'll be seeing the FTP, we'll be seeing the database, we'll be seeing the Fusion system, right? That okay, how we can go and load the data in the Fusion. And we'll be seeing outbound and inbound integrations both. How we can go and
Oh,
load the data into the Fusion, how we can go and extract the data from the Fusion.
okay. I have one question.
Yes,
So OIC will be support for all database like Oracle, Postgres, Redshift,
yes,
MySQL, all
yes,
databases, right?
all databases.
So this will be also useful full for the Snowflake and Data Lake. These
Yes,
for the data migration. These will be used for that
correct.
OIC. Okay,
Yes.
so will you able to explain that one also? How will be to migrate data or integrate from Oracle to Snowflake and other
So the
tool also?
example which we'll take is that we will take the data from the database and we'll be
Mhm,
loading it to the Oracle Fusion.
mhm,
But we will check if we will get the Snowflake environment, right? We can, or
mhm.
I will try to give you the high level guideline that okay, how that can be.
Yeah, 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 please.
Yeah,
Okay,
that will
thank
can
you,
cover.
thank you.
Yeah. But the systems what we have, right, will be having like in the training we'll be getting OIC, this training environment will be getting. We will be getting the FTP server where we can go and place the file, we can read, write, delete and all. Then we'll be getting the database, which is like Oracle ATP. Then we'll go and get the Oracle Fusion system, which is like in that one, right, we can go and do the load data or extract the data. So like bulk
So,
data also will see.
okay, so is this possible to we can do real-time migration? I mean, data transfer, real-time data
Yes,
transfer.
yes, we can. So that is like
Okay.
the event based. So as soon as the record will be created in, for example, in your database, right? Your
Mhm,
integration will be starting at the same. So that is the database pooling. So once the data
mhm.
got created in your database, right? Same time your integration will start and it will move the data to the target system.
Okay,
Yeah. So we'll be seeing all
great.
those different concepts. What web services are there? What is a REST API?
Mhm.
What is a web service? SOAP API? How we can go and use the REST APIs? How we can use the SOAP APIs? How we can use the database in OIC? Then EBS? How we can go and call the like when we have to do the bulk data load in the Fusion, right? So it is the FBDI process, file-based data import. So when we just import 1 or 2 records, right? We can do with the help of REST API. But when it is like 1,000, 2,000, or 10,000 record, right? So with the help of REST API, it is not feasible. So we'll go and use the FBDI, bulk data load. So we'll be seeing that one. Then when we have to go and extract the data from the system, right? So it can be CSV data, it can be PDF file, right? So we'll be see that, okay, how different formats of the report, right, we can get and we can share over email. So all those things will be covering.
So is there any, I mean, maybe they have some, suppose for the, or because my background is a Oracle DBA, so similar kind of activity done by data guard, as you know.
Yeah.
So we are like the data going to sync primary to secondary or other node also. So here also there is an option we can track like the real-time data going to sync or not. Any other things are there we can check like sync up of databases are there
Yeah,
or not.
so your integration, right? We have the, as I told you,
Mhm,
monitoring is there. So
mhm.
we can come here
Okay.
and we can monitor our integration. So from here, right,
Okay.
we can see the flow, how it is happening. If suppose that process got completed, so it
Mhm,
will say process, right? If that will go
mhm.
into error, success, right? And then based on that, right,
Okay.
we can go to and see the log. So maybe I can change the window to last 3 days because last 1 hour, right, there is nothing. So if you see right here, so this integration, right, ran 58 times. All times it got success. So if suppose something got errored out, right? If you see right, this process got aborted. So this process got started 6 times. 4 times it is successful, 2 times it got aborted. So like that one, right, we can go and see. And then you want to see right what is happening into this one, right? We can come and you can see right all this time, right? It is successful. You want to see the
So,
so we can go and
okay.
see the whole process, what is happening at
Okay.
what stage.
So what are the major causes? Basically, just I'm asking for the like sometimes the data is not going to sync. So is there any network bandwidth problem or
Yes.
some other?
Yeah, so sometimes, right, like suppose you are doing the data sync, right? So your target system is down, right? So when the connectivity will happen, right? So it will say
Yeah.
that, okay, there's no database or database is down. So then it cannot happen the data sync. So that time, right, what happened? We can go and write error notification. So suppose if any error will come, right, we can go and notify to the concerned team that, okay, some error is happening into that one. So that, okay, team will go and take that action.
Okay. So simply we are going to start the services or how it will be automatically they are going to
We
sync.
can automate, right? So as I told it, either we can go and start explicitly, so application integration. If you want to schedule, right? So for example, we can say that, okay, we will not be real-time sync, we will sync every 1 hour. So what happen? We can write schedule that integration every 1 hour. So it keeps running every 1 hour. It will say that, okay, any new records are there, fetch and load. Or we can say that, okay, database pooling. That, okay, as soon as the entry will happen into the database, start our integration. So we can go and start any pattern. As per our the client requirement, right, we can go and see.
Okay. Okay. So is there any mandatory background process over here? So we are going to check it for the OIC, like these are the,
No, as I told, right,
okay.
it is a low code framework. So if you know something, well and good. If you don't know, no need to worry. We are going to start from very basics and we'll be creating the project. So
So there is no any coding, just simply GUI
yes,
environment over there.
it is
Okay.
UI environment, low code.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Dheeraj.
Yeah. But Oracle gives us the right flexibility to write the JavaScript code. So for example, right, there is a possibility, right? It is a low code platform. So suppose some logic you are not able to achieve, right? With the case of like those drag and drop. So in that case, right, you can go and build your own JavaScript logic and you can go and call. So that flexibility is also there. So it is not completely low code also. If you want to write your custom logic, right, you can write in the JavaScript and then you can go and use that one. Because there's a possibility, right, that okay, 95% scenarios that you are able to achieve by drag and drop. But some scenario that you are not able to achieve. So do we say no to the client? No, right? So what happens? At that time, we can go for the custom solution also. We can write the logic in the JavaScript and then that we can go and use. So Oracle is giving us all the flexibility that okay, you can go and achieve each and everything in the OIC.
Regarding the projects, like if it will be like you gonna explain it and we will go through with that, or we are also going to have some hands-on or lab.
Hands-on, it is completely hands-on. First, I will explain what we are doing, then I will go and build that solution. So if I will just tell you from the last batch what we did. LM01. Okay, I think that is a different platform. So in that one, right, around like 30 to 35. Where is that one? This is the platform what? Yes, so this is what we have. So these are all the integrations that we'll be creating from hands-on. So in each one session, right, we'll be creating one integration. We'll be covering those things. So these many integrations that we'll go and create, and we'll learn different concepts. So see, supplier FBDI, bulk data load, report calling, database pooling, then HDL, right, in the human capital, then BIP report different scenarios, multiple parameters, single parameter, email formatting. Then in the database side, how we can go and use the different database operations and all. So that will be seen. Then we will see that, okay, initially we'll go and start with very basics and all. So the greeting application, hello world program. So it's not that, okay, from the day one, right, we'll go and start creating advanced application. On the day one, we'll be creating hello world, the simple thing. So that, okay, you know that, okay, how the input and output. Then we'll go and create that greeting application. We'll send some input, some output will come. Then slowly we go and increase our pace as soon as we go and get little concepts. So we'll be seeing the REST APIs, how we can go and pass multiple parameters, query parameters. Then we'll see that, okay, how we can go and use the SOAP APIs. So each and everything, right, it is going to be. Then we'll see that event-based integration, video upload and all. FTP will be seeing that, okay, how we can go and use the files and all. So these are the different integrations we'll be creating. We will see that for loop condition, nested switch conditions and all. So those things that we'll cover. So it's going to be completely hands-on. We create our project from the scratch and we'll build one, like step by step I will build and I will explain that, okay, why we are doing that one.
How we will practice this?
What?
How we will practice?
Yeah, this
I mean,
instance will be provided to you guys also.
okay.
So
So
the
OCI
instance,
level will give access to us.
yeah, so like OIC instance access will be provided to you guys. So username, password will be provided, so you can go and do the development on your own also.
So
Any
are
other
we,
question?
are
Yeah.
we gonna like do we have projects with HCM adapters also?
Yes, HCM adapters also we have.
Okay.
HCM adapter, ERB adapter. So we have all those things. If you go to the Oracle, right? So 121 adapters are there. And if you go for the Oracle, you will see all these adapters. CPQ, Oracle e-business suite, Oracle ERP cloud, HCM cloud, hospitality, right? So all these things are there from Oracle. So like that one, right? From the different systems, right? If you go and see that Salesforce. So from the Salesforce, right? These are that adapters are available. Then you say Workday. So Workday adapter is there. So whatever the systems are there in the market, right? For which, right, we need to go and connect, right? So all those adapters are available.
Okay.
But most of integrations, right, will be using the REST, SOAP, and then database, FTP. So these four adapters are kind of a generic adapters will be used, and then specific like Fusion will be there. So HCM, ERP, those adapters.
Okay.
So yeah. Any other
So
questions?
we will have access to this instance.
Yeah, you will be having the access up to this instance.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is recommended that, okay, like on particular day, whatever integration I will develop, right? You can go and do the hands-on, like try to replicate the same thing. And because like when I will do the development, right, maybe I will not get any error because I am doing this activity from last 10, 20 years, right? But when you do, right, you will get some errors. So if we can get any errors, right, we'll be covering in the next session that, okay, why that error is coming for you guys. We'll debug, we'll fix, and then we'll go and create the next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Omkar this side.
Yes, Omkar.
So I have 5 years of experience in SOA and OSP and wanted to move into OIC. So will I get that level of knowledge which industry is
Yes,
expecting
so
from
after
five
the training,
years?
right? For example, if you are a fresher at zero experience, right? After the training, you
Right
can
now
go.
I
No,
will
no,
be
I'm just giving
starting
the
from
example.
scratch.
Yeah, I'm giving the example. For example, if you have a years of experience, right? After
Mhm.
this training, right, you can go and easily say that, okay, you have 3 to 4 years of experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Within this 2 months of span, right?
Yes, so it will be like around 30 sessions, 32. Yeah, it
Mhm.
will be 30 to 35 sessions, which will go for like around 7 to 8 weeks.
Okay, okay. Because the reason is since I will tell them right I have 5 years of experience, so they will
Yes.
expect more from me, right?
Yes, yes.
So
So as I told, right,
that
it's completely
that
going to
def
be hands-on. So maybe like you know something, right? But advanced level of things,
Mhm.
right, you don't know. Or if you require
Yeah.
something, right, maybe we'll try to cover that scenario also.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. Thanks.
Yeah, because it is the training, right, is completely going to be interactive.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
do hands-on, you will face some issue, come back, we'll try to fix that together, and then we'll go to the next integrations.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions, anyone?
No, thank you from my side.
Okay, so if no question, I think the form is there. Please go and fill that form and team will be connecting with you. So if an integration is processing records in database and some records failing due to processing, how can this be reprocessed? So like in the database, right, what happened, we can go and put some status. So whichever records got processed, right, we can update the status that okay processed. So that okay, when the next flow will be executing, right? So that time we'll not go and get those processed records. We'll be getting only the records which are not processed. So the machines are already horizontal and vertical scaling and replication. Okay, maybe I didn't got this question. If you want to explain, you can unmute and explain. Even format Oracle Apex, it's Oracle controlled. Maybe I didn't got this question also. Okay, so if anyone, Dheeraj, if you want to unmute and ask these questions, maybe I will try to help you in that. Kiran, you can put the number also so that okay, team can be interacting with you guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Surely
So
do
this is
that.
the number. So if you have any further questions or anything, right, you can reach out to this number and you can fill this form. So team will be reaching out and these are the credentials. So please go note it down. It is there in the chat. You can copy paste, fill the form and you can connect with this number and you will get more details.